Hello everybody, welcome to Sure Shot Archery. Anthony here, and in this video I'm going to be giving you my review of the new MK Inpers Stabilizer system. So I've actually been using this for several weeks now, and I've been having a great time with it. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you a review of this product. I'm going to be giving you my feedback on it, things I liked, things I didn't like. So that way, you can make a decision on if this is something that you want to pick up. Also, in the description down below, I will have a link to MK Archery's website so you can see what they have to say about their own product. I will also have the email for the MK North America distributor so you can get pricing from him if you want, or ask him questions as well about this product. Between the two of them and this video, you should have plenty of resources to be able to make your decision on if this is a good stabilizer for you or not. So let's get started with this review. First off, MK Inpers. That sounds familiar. That's because there were MK limbs called Inpers at one point in time. Well, those limbs are now being relabeled as MK L2 limbs. They're going to be a medium-priced limb, and they're just trying to, from my understanding, MK is just trying to build out a medium-priced archery line to help better support intermediate archers, people just getting into the sport that are very new to it, that don't want to spend a lot of money, but still want a quality piece of equipment without paying a huge premium for it. Now, I do have some ideas on why the cost of this stabilizer system is cheaper than some of the higher end stabilizer systems, including MK's flagship stabilizer system, the MK XR, that I also reviewed in a future video about a year or so ago. You can check that out if you like, if you're looking for a more premium stabilizer setup than this one here. So now let's get into the available options for this setup, because you need some options, because everybody tries to customize their stabilizer system, their setup, to how they shoot, how they draw back their bow, how you want the bow to react when you shoot. So for your long rod in the front here, we have three sizes. We have a 30-inch, a 28-inch, and a 26-inch. This rod here is a 28-inch rod. For me, I think it's pretty perfect. I'm 6 foot tall, but I also like to run an extension. And of course, I run my V-bars pretty traditionally out the front here as well. So I get all of this added distance added to the length of my front rod. So if I went with a 30-inch stabilizer rod here with the extension and the V-bar, then it's going to be even further out, and in my opinion, personally, I think that's a little bit too much for me. On the other side, if I went with a short rod, a shorter front rod, and even the same V-bar and MK extension here, it's a little too short for me, and I just don't like the feeling of it. So I find, for me, that 28 inches on the front rod is the best, of course paired up with the MK V-bar and the MK Inper extension here. Now for the extension, they come in a few different sizes. They're available in 6, 5, 4, and 3 inches each. Now this extension right here is a 4-inch extension, pretty much in the middle. I could have probably gone with a 3 and still made this setup work, and I probably could have gone with a 5 and still made it work, but I think it would have been on the long side. That's why I personally went with the 4. I felt like it was a pretty medium size, but most people would probably go with 3 or 4 inch extensions. That seems to be the most common, especially if you're running a 28 to 30 inch front stabilizer. If you have a 5-inch extension plus you have a 30-inch stabilizer, that's a lot. It's a lot of stabilizer out there, and you don't really see that too often. Now, for our side stabilizers that are off the V-bar, I personally went with 14-inch, but that is on the very high side of their V-bar range. They offer 14, 12, 11, and 10-inch side stabilizers. I went for the longer ones because I'm trying to get more weight on the back half of my bow. Me and my coach feel like it just helps my shot out a lot better. It allows me to have a lot more balance and stability in my shot. But that's the thing. What works for me may not work for you, but MK is giving you a pretty good variety of stabilizer sizes, and then you can really just customize something that works well for you. And on top of that, since this is a more affordably priced stabilizer, if you think, oh, longer is going to be better, I want a 30-inch rod with, 14-inch sidebars, and we're going to run a 5-inch extension. Like, we're going to have a lot of stabilizer. And then you find out, you know what? Some of this was a little too much for me. Like, for you. Like, it's not working out right. Your shot feels all weird. Well, you didn't spend a ton of money. You didn't spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars buying this. You could, sell the parts that you don't want to friends or whatever. And then you can go and pick up other pieces that are shorter. You can try new things at an affordable price that are built with quality, because my experience so far with these stabilizers, shooting thousands of arrows with them is, they're pretty quality stabilizers, especially for an intermediate priced stabilizer setup. Usually you can expect lower grade materials used in the construction of your stabilizer when you go with cheaper stabilizers. There's always a lot more plastic involved. Maybe the fit and finish of things aren't the best. Even when it comes down to like decals and the presentation of the stabilizer itself, usually cheaper stabilizers are very simplistic. I don't think this is really the case for the MK Impers right here. Now, yes, this is a simpler design, but in no means is it just, plain and simple. It's kind of flashy. It looks professional. At the same point in time, not only are you getting, carbon fiber, but you are getting metal end caps on the front, on the back. You're getting them on your sidebars. You're getting them on your extension. Metal. Not even some of the high-end stabilizers from other companies will send you with metal end caps, and they just hold up so much better. I know some people are probably like, oh, it's going to add a little bit of weight, but that's going to be meaningless when you're getting better value and better life out of your stabilizers. I've used some higher end stabilizers from other companies that were made out of like an ABS, and they just get all nasty from the sun. They really fade out. A lot of them, if you end up tightening your stabilizer too tight and they have a hole in them, and you try to loosen it up because you over tightened your stabilizer, I find the plastic ends up warping, and it gets really just gets nasty, and it doesn't look professional anymore, and it doesn't look like the money you spent on it. And for me, that's important, because I'm going to buy something that's a big value. It's going to cost a lot of money. Then I want it to last, and I want it to stay as nice looking as it can be for as long as possible. Of course, as you use things, they do wear out, but they shouldn't break overnight. And that's something that some other high-end brands have happened to them, and it's not something that I've experienced with this more affordable stabilizer than those high-end stabilizers. So, besides the overall build and quality of this stabilizer with the metal end caps, I really like their idea on the V-bar. Now, in the close-ups, you can probably see 40 degrees and 35. Now, these are adjustable. You can basically turn the V-bar around, and you can get either 35 degrees of separation. You know, how far the spread of your V-bar is going to be, or you can get a smaller spread of 35. You can change the angle without actually having an adjustable V-bar. They're permanent, they're fixed, they're built in, but this is a really cool option. In the past, you would either be stuck with one set degree of setting of V-bar angle. You probably more like 40 degrees is pretty common, but this is giving you two, and it's built into one. At the same time, you don't have to play around with adjustments on an adjustable V-bar, and it's also saving you on the adjustable V-bar price. So this is basically a fixed two adjustment V-bar setup, and it's one of the first that I've seen, at least in my experience. I don't know if there's another company that makes something like this, but I think it's a really good idea, and it's a great way of giving the archer more flexibility in the customization of their stabilizer setup without making them break their bank account trying to buy a fully adjustable V-bar that will probably cost maybe up to 5 times as much, if not more, than this fixed two adjustment V-bar. So that was a lot of very positive things about this stabilizer setup, and overall this is a really great stabilizer setup. I've had an excellent experience with it, but I do have a few critiques coming from years of experience shooting archery. First off, I kind of want to answer, well, how are they getting this at this medium price? The main thing they're using is the carbon. There's nothing wrong with the carbon, but they're using a thicker carbon. Your rods are definitely going to be thicker on this mid-priced stabilizer system than they are going to be on a higher end stabilizer system. And this is where the main cost savings is, because to get a super thin carbon tube, you need really high grade, or you should be using very high grade carbon. So in order to make this an affordable price for many archers, many intermediate shooters, you get a little bit thicker piece of carbon, but you get to save on the price. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with this. Now, somebody that's looking to maybe do a lot of outdoor shooting, maybe they don't want a rod as thick. So in the future, if you own one of these, you may want to transition into a thinner stabilizer setup that has thinner rods. Of course, you're going to pay a much bigger price for thinner rods, but overall, it's not a major downside at all. But I do want to bring up the fact that it's probably where they're saving a majority of the money, because the metal they're using, nothing wrong with that. I've had a great experience. It's not it looks like it's very well machined. The rest of it seems like it's very well made. The stabilizer hasn't come unglued or anything like that. So from my experience and my knowledge, the biggest savings to get you to this price point is the fact that they're using a less dense carbon fiber, so it needs to be a little bit bigger in order to be stiff. And it is a very stiff stabilizer, so that you can get the performance out of it. If you wanted a thinner one, they need a higher price, because you need a higher grade of carbon fiber to get such a thin tube to make the whole stabilizer system work. Next up, I want to talk about the weight system on this stabilizer setup from MK. As you can probably see, or if you can guess, these are actually dampeners and weights from another company, and no disrespect to MK, but I find it more convenient to have a stabilizer setup that runs on 1/4 inch than on 5/16. This setup, along with MK's premium setup, the MKXR, both run on 5/16. These are an MK weight system here, and they're very nice, but they are 5/16. They screw in great to this stabilizer, but in order to get other brands or other kinds of dampeners and things like that hooked up to your stabilizer setup, you actually need to get a screw adapter that goes from 5/16 to 1/4 inch, and then that way you can run basically all the weights and all the dampeners on the market. I think it would be great if MK moved to the 1/4 inch side of the market, because there's just a lot more stabilizer accessories available in my experience for 1/4 inch than there is for 5/16. Now, there are adapters for it, so you can make this work, and it's really not a giant pain in the butt. But if you are somebody that already has stabilizer weights for some reason, you're just looking for another stabilizer, do keep in mind that you probably will need an adapter to make weights from other brands work if they're running 1/4 inch threads, because the MK does run the 5/16. Definitely not a deal breaker, just to be clear, but it is something to consider. So other than that, this pretty much wraps up this review. The only other thing that I could add is I do like how this stabilizer setup comes shipped. When it comes in all the tubing and things, I think that's a really great idea. It looks more professional than just a plastic sleeve. If you want to get a better visual of this, definitely check out my unboxing of this stabilizer setup so you can get an idea on what to expect if you were to purchase one. Other than that, though, overall, great stabilizer, and I think it's definitely worth the value and the price, and I think it's a good addition for somebody that's really starting to get serious about the sport. It's definitely a step up from your entry-level stabilizers, but at the same point, you're not paying out the wazoo for an extremely high-end stabilizer that essentially does the same thing as this one does. Just the high-end ones have even more premium materials to them that allows them to be thinner, but they are just serving the same purpose for the most part. Of course, an experienced shooter who wants the highest performance possible is definitely going to want to look towards a higher end stabilizer like the MKXR. But for somebody that's just getting into the sport, that wants to be mindful of their budget, because that's an important thing to keep track of, this is definitely worth the value in my opinion. So thank you so much for watching. Please check out MK's website. Check out their social media. They're always posting stuff. They're a very active company in that manner, and they're very supportive, from what I've seen, of the people that actually use their products on the day-to-day. They're constantly reposting people's Instagram posts. So I think that's very cool. It's something that you kind of see from other companies, but I feel like MK is a little more personal about it. But yeah, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to contact them, or if you need to know anything else from me, just let me know. I'll do my best to answer it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and as always, happy shooting.